You've listened to everybody on YouTube. You were hoping everybody had the answer, weren't you? Tell the truth. You did go and listen to everybody on YouTube, all the strange stuff. There's certain YouTube videos you looked at with your door closed, and when somebody walked in, you turned it off. You would be caught alive watching some of the things that you do watch. Not that it's dirty, it's because it's crazy, but you're looking in those places for truth. But I give you this scenario. When prophecy turns into reality, we're going to need some real direction.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Looking out into the vastness of the universe, the greatest mystery is right here. Right under our feet. The ultimate aim of all science, to penetrate the unknown. These are the stories that will make you say, what the fuck?
WTF, Gary? WTF? What the fuck does WTF mean? What the fuck? Oh,
We could potentially go totally off the rails tonight, really. I know I've said that before, and I haven't really gone off the rails. It might actually unleash tonight. Have you guys ever contemplated doing something and where you knew a time would come where you'd have to state something that would make you look like a maniac? And it didn't really matter, because normally when I speak, 5 people actually hear and 1,500 are angry. So they get angry at me every time I speak. But that's okay, so long as it's truth, right? But there is a truth. One day, you know yourselves, you're going to have to try it. You're going to have to tell it to somebody. It's the truth you never want to speak of, but you were given that truth and it's yours, and you're the only person that can give it, but you don't want to give it. You question that truth yourself. But there comes a point in time where you have to talk about it. My time is approaching faster than I would like it to. There are certain things that the world is looking forward to I'm not looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to. Most people think that diversity in this country makes it a wonderful place. I do not think diversity makes it a wonderful place. I think freedom does. Not the freedom as they have defined it either. See, we're not going outside, and we don't have a military escort stopping your car and throwing you in jail because you want to go to church. When you log on to any website that's religious, you don't have anybody breaking down your doors to take all your computers and put you on a train. You don't have that, right? So we have freedom. That's what makes this country great. Well, I know it's strange because people can complain. I don't like complaints. They do all sorts of things. They have protests in the street that do nothing, but protests don't do anything. I hate to tell you that. It's the truth. Protests are people getting together venting. And it doesn't work. It really doesn't. Because you have to have moral people running the system for a protest to actually work. Nobody cares if somebody else throws a protest. But they do care what the world thinks about them. Well, we may talk about that since you're protesting. 5 days later, nobody's talking about it. Hey, whew, that's over. We sure got them. Let's tell them we'll do it as soon as we can. Talk about it every 6 months, and they'll believe it all the way until I get out of office. Let's do that. That's the way it really works. All the while, a true nation has been forming. Now, tonight's topic, we're going to get into parts of a delusion of epic proportions. I'm telling you right now, your parents were in a strong delusion. Your parents' parents were in a strong delusion. You know it's a delusion because people right now do not believe that delusion has come. Number one, they changed it. They say great deception. That's not what it is. There's a difference between a deception and a delusion, two different things. A delusion is something you accept as reality, as being real. That's just the way it is. And I'm telling you, that delusion has begun a long time ago. So what in the world is that strong delusion? You can't see it, but you can feel it. Because in your soul of souls, you keep saying to yourself, well, something is off. You've listened to everybody on YouTube. You were hoping everybody had the answer, weren't you? Tell the truth. You did go and listen to everybody on YouTube, all the strange stuff. You would be caught alive watching some of the things that you do watch. Not that it's dirty, it's because it's crazy. But you're looking in those places for truth. Huh? You know something is wrong. You're trying, you've got all of you have your fingers stuck up. And you're saying, I want to put my finger on it. So you're walking around with one finger stuck up in the air so you can put your finger on it as soon as you find it. You've been on a hunt for many years trying to find out what in the world is wrong. But nothing has ever settled it. Nothing. Because no one dared come forth to say it. Or did they? Let me give you an example of just how fast we forget. All of us who look at the strange happenings of the earth. Can I do this just so you guys understand what I'm saying? Because people have uttered things and you can't remember. I'm going to show you how that works. Can I demonstrate to you how that works? Everybody listening, I need to demonstrate to you just how fast you can forget and just how much you can accept a big, huge lie and be fine with it. You ready? Are you guys ready? Because you were blindsided. You thought nothing about it. Something happened a long time ago in view of everybody who wanted to see. They told you a big one. Okay, here it is. It was advertised. It was marketed. It was told on television, hey, don't miss the big event of something smashing into the moon. You guys remember that? Who remembers that? How that they were going to crash something, cause an explosion on the moon. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember that? Huh?
NASA now has a new plan for the moon. They're going to bomb it tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. We have an announcement to make. On July 4th of this year, America will blow up the moon.
Do you see?
America can, should, must, and will blow up the moon.
Yes, and we'll be doing it during a full moon, so we make sure we get it all.
The greatest dream of a high school experiment you could have, and we're doing it to a little piece of ourselves to understand what it might be telling us about the history of water in the solar system and how the moon really works.
Do you see? Do you see?
Yes, I see.
That was during the Obama administration. Do you remember? They had it on commercials and television. In fact, when they made that announcement, I said, boy, they're getting bold. You don't tell people anything.
If there's enough water there, you can use it for rocket fuel to come home. You can use it for water to drink, or you could split it to make at least oxygen and bring some nitrogen. So it's called in situ resource utilization. That's NASA speak for using stuff that's there.
And then the reaction from the public was astounding. Right? It was astounding. Everybody said, oh, that's boring. That's what they said. That's boring. Are you kidding? This is what they did. Hardly any viewers saw that. Now, they told people something. Nobody wanted to see it. They didn't care about it. It exploded. They showed it on television the next day, reported that on the news. And the ratings went down. That's what happens when you tell a truth. And then people came up with their own definition. And so finally they laid in that saying, well, they achieved what they want to achieve, and you didn't hear about the story anymore. Most people forgot it, didn't they? Didn't they? Here's the funny part. It was recorded Many people had recorded that episode themselves through their powerful telescopes and actually saw it. A lot of people at one time recorded that, but nobody wanted to see it. That is so funny. Now, why would you send something up there to explode? Here's the funny part. They send something up there to blow the topsoil away, so they say, on the moon, right? To blow it away, so they can analyze the fragments that shoot up in the air. That was their excuse.
Now we have a lot of permanently shadowed craters on the moon which contain hundreds of tons. It's been estimated on the North Pole alone, 600 million tons of water. That's enough to make 1.2 trillion pints of Guinness. Okay? Now, just think if we had that. Not that we could drink it all, because we don't need it so much for drinking. But what we do is we split it apart, we get hydrogen and oxygen, and those are our two major rocket fuels. So when we leave the Earth, 85% of our mass is gone because it's rocket fuel. We get to the moon, we got an empty gas tank. And we fill up with our hydrogen and oxygen. We now have a filled gas tank. We can go boom, we can go to Mars, we can go wherever we want.
Now, listen, folks, that was their excuse. So in other words, what I'm telling you, there was no planning, right? All of a sudden one day, hey, we've sent something up there. And what we're going to do is crash it into the moon to see what particles come up. And the public bought that hook, line, and sinker, save for those who were fixated on the very spot where it exploded. And then they had real cool video of something. And they were never allowed. See, they were posted on YouTube, and YouTube took them down within 15 to 20 minutes. Nobody could actually post what they had recorded from many different vantage points. They took them down 15 minutes. They were gone. Well, if it's so, if it's so mundane, why would they take them down? It didn't show anything, did it? Or did it?
Some of the shapes, as I said, some of the buildings were very tall. There were spherical and domed buildings,
There is a stunning three-dimensional girder-like geometry, a scaffolding, rebar, a structural matrix standing above the moon, anchored to the surface by a set of slanted buttresses. The geometry is perfect, meaning it absolutely is consistent with what constructional techniques would be there if you had built something miles high above the current surface of the moon.
How did YouTube respond so fast in 15 minutes? Because they were waiting for anybody to post the videos, that's why. Why didn't they want you to see somebody else's vantage point? Because it's connected to the moon. That big object in the sky you've seen all your life and you still don't know what it is. That thing. The thing that's covered with dust and stuff like that, and you think it's dead, that thing, you know nothing about that thing. And then they scrubbed it from everything. There are specific sites you can go to go look into all the missions they have, and I can assure you the data is missing. Isn't that funny? The real data is gone. I mean, they just scrubbed the thing. It went out of your memory. And now, guess what? People really buy, though they were just looking for, see if water was up there. Isn't that funny? I mean, come on. We've had things go to Mars, and they told us about every single launch because they bragged on themselves. They didn't brag on this one, did they? They mentioned it quickly. And it happened quickly. Now, we all know NASA does not work that way, don't we? They don't do anything quickly. What is wrong with us? All of a sudden, they do something that really doesn't mean a hill of beans, and they do it quick. All of a sudden, quick, right? And everything works right, and they achieve it. They've done everything slow and had problems with everything. Their lie almost broke down. That's why they didn't want those people to put that up on YouTube. You see, there are parts of the moon you can't ever see. But during that time, for those who track the moon, the phase of the moon was very strange. In other words, that was during, it just so happens, that was during a shifting of the moon. Now, when I say a moon shift, that means the same side that faces us was not facing us that time. It was tilted just enough to see something else. And when that explosion went off, well then, it's what happened afterward. They didn't want anybody to see, because it was quite blinding after the explosion. So what are we missing here? Something is missing. Anybody familiar with Operation Argos? Starfish Crown? These 1960s and 50s operations, or what they were doing in the high altitudes of the atmosphere. Some of you who have worked in certain areas, this is part of your history. You know about them. You've been briefed on them. But that has to do with what we're going through now. All of this is part of the delusion. And because of that delusion, it's very difficult to accept prophecy. And because you can't accept prophecy, your hopes are being dashed every single day. That's why everybody wants a date. Because they continue to ask year after year, well, is it going to happen this year? I really wish it would happen this year. In fact, it's so bad they have people looking forward to prophecy. The very prophecies they shouldn't look forward to. I think is a good thing and a bad thing. The good part is this. They really want to get out of here because they see the darkness. The bad thing is this. They have no idea what they're asking for. So, to inspect the delusion and to understand prophecy, a delusion is a perceived realm, a mindset that no one can deliver you from. A delusional person does not know they are delusional. So if somebody's walking around and they don't tell you, but in their mind they think the sky is pink, there's nothing you can do to change that. I tell you, it's been going on for a long time. What about the maps that were found in Babylon that depict the continents of the earth back then as they are now with the same accuracy? How about that? Oh, they didn't tell you about that? I'm sorry. Yes, they had global maps just like we have. Of course, in a catastrophe, all the minerals and everything else are going to go back into the earth, and the only thing that will maintain is a stone. Metals will be consumed. That's why there are rust marks all over the stones. Hinges, right? Laser precision. We're just foolish enough to believe in evolution, so we say, well, surely they didn't have a laser. They didn't have that cutting ability. So it seems like all the evidence was washed away and how they kept. They keep it secret, don't they? They keep it all secret. That's why they're the first ones at the site, and then we get to see after they dug it all up. It'd be nice to see an archaeological dig from start to finish, wouldn't it? Of course, you can't go near those places because you're not cleared to be in those places. They never show you that. They show you the aftermath after they grabbed everything interesting. It is so funny with the pyramids because I remember a long time ago when they were digging in certain pyramids, here's what they said. Well, we have a couple things here, a couple things there, a couple things there. Right? Just recently in 2011, here they pop up with all these other artifacts that they told us were in Iraq. I thought they found them all. I thought they shared it with the world. What were they doing in Iraq? Why were they being traded all over the world? And then once they were stolen, then they began to talk about it. The little secret got out.
Just 2 days ago, the police again arrested 3 criminals, another 3 criminals with 5 objects. Now we are missing 37 objects from the museum. I hope that all the authorities in Egypt will cooperate in order to repatriate our missing artifacts.
During that time, the UK and America were at odds on a few things because they have one ideology. They're going to fool you big time. Because anything out in the open is not how they're going to do it. Now, what is more plausible? Let's just talk about some things here. There's one thing nobody questions, but they question everything else. People question the fallen angels. People question spirits and ghosts and goblins. People are seeing Bigfoot and everything else. These things in many forms. They question everything. They question your morals. They question your beliefs. They question everything. But what's the one thing they don't question? They don't question their delusion. A person who is delusional will never question the delusion, but they will question everything else, including reality. They never question the delusion. It would be like you waking up in your house, but you're not really in your house. You wake up every day, it's your house, you cook breakfast, send the kids off to school. But in truth, that's not your house, right? If it were true, that's not your house, but somebody made something to look like your house. They made a mock-up of your house. You're living in there, but you're inside a larger facility because they know you're scared to go outside and venture outside of certain paradigms. You would think that was your house. You would think it's real, but everybody else would look at you from the outside and say, poor thing, they're stuck. There's no way they can find their way out. Half of your circumstances are delusions. They're not even real. Let me give you an example of that. How many times have you worried about the end result of your circumstances?
Indicted?
And then 5 years later, you found out you were worried about nothing and you truly wasted your time. You could have been doing things instead of worrying. How many have done? I've done that so many times. Sit up and worry about something, and then after it's all over, you say, well, I just wasted time worrying. That was ridiculous. You were caught in your own delusion. When you're worried about something, you cease to do everything. Worry itself is a delusion. It's one of the doors into the strong delusion. That's why I don't like worry. I don't like worry as unfounded, period. It has never been justified, nor will it ever be. And again, a delusion can never be observed, can it? Or it wouldn't be called a delusion. Right? Is it not delusional to waste your time in worry and tears and starve yourself and everything else, but then 5 days later that same thing you were worried about never transpires? Or the ending is nothing like you had imagined? Were you not in something that was not real? That's exactly what you were in. You were in a condition, and your mind made the worry. It justified that worry. Your own thoughts, you were trapped in your thoughts of a horrible outcome, of an unsure outcome. You were delusional. You weren't seeing the truth. If you're not seeing the truth, what are you seeing? A lie. If you sit there and worry, and if you have worried, and some of us have done this for 30, 60 days, but the outcome is nothing like we imagined, for all that time, we were believing a lie. So we have already done that. And we were in that delusion while we did it. Now, examine this. When you're worried about something, how hard is it to break that cycle of worry? It's not easy, is it? It is not easy, is it? It's not easy. You know and I know the only way to break that worry, certainly over financial things, is to have finances in your hand. It's the only way to break it, right? Listen to me close. when a person is worried over financial situations, what breaks the worry is to have money in their hands. That's why you pray, Lord, please handle this, and somebody puts money in your hand, and you say, praise the Lord, it's done. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or am I wrong? Am I right or wrong?
Am I right or am I right or am I right? Right.
I would love to stand here and talk with you, but I'm not going to.
We do this all the time, don't we? We do stuff like that all the time. So he's breaking the cycle. Why? Because that's part of the delusion. When you believe a prayer with the wrong premise works, which so many people do, and they start breaking down in life when they're no longer answered, that's when they're shaken and they get their lives right. If you succumb to worry, that's like succumbing to a delusion. And if you can remember that, you'll say, wait a minute, because it's hard to break this cycle of worry. Well, the same thing happens in a delusion. Because worry is nothing more than your imagination dictating an end that never comes. Correct? Now you have something to compare it to.
But I say to you, hey, look at me. Please, don't worry so much. Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting.
With trust, you will stand. Without trust, you are certain to fall. Okay? God bless each of you.
What the